Welcome, everyone, to the Holstein House Podcast. I'm the West Virginia woman, Robin, of RobinHolstein.com and Holstein House, where my guests get a great night's sleep at a fair rate plus breakfast. This is a podcast that looks at society and culture issues affecting families in West Virginia and the United States, from food preparation and storage, gardening, home repairs, current events, and more. We'll go around the table and back in 60 minutes or less. So let's hang out and talk a while. Good morning, all y'all. How are you doing this morning? I'm Robin Holstein, and this is the Holstein House Broadcast. It's Friday, November the 10th, 2023, and this is episode 114 of the Holstein House Broadcast, answering questions on hosting a B&B from your home, your food pantry, your food preparation and storage questions, and more. And today we're going to talk a little bit about five additional winter preps and hypothermia in senior citizens, and maybe some current events if we get around to it. I know you guys are not all senior citizens, but we have loved ones in our family that are, and I thought that would be something, if we can get to it today, that we would go over. I've tried not to say, I haven't been talking to the dogs or the cats or anything much this morning, so trying to keep my voice from being so hoarse, but honestly, this isn't going away. This is continuing as I use the new inhaler, and it kind of clears up a little while before I have to take the next dose of the stuff. So I'm definitely going to have to talk. It's not something that my system's getting accustomed to. So it's really aggravating me, and I know it doesn't sound very good to you guys either. And I do apologize for that. If you're listening on the podcasts, I go back and I check the analytics every now and again, and it's kind of like the stock market to me. I don't look at it all the time. I just kind of go back and check and see how it's doing. And I do see the numbers, and I do see that you guys are listening, and I would love to put names to your numbers out there. So I'd love to hear from you. If you are commenting on the podcasts and not getting a response from me, that's because I don't have that particular app. And so if you will go to RobinHolstein.com to the contacts page and just send me a note and say, hey, I commented over here on, I don't know, say Apple Podcasts or whatever it's called, and I haven't heard from you, I will make a point of trying to get to that podcast app and respond back to you, because I do want you to understand that I know you're out there, and I'd like to have a little conversation with you, see what your questions are, see what your comments are, and just let you know that I've seen your messages. And sorry, I'm kind of lofting over here, checking a couple other things on the other screen. But I do want to be able to do that, and I do want to be able to say hello to everybody. So we'll get right at it today. I have to dart out of here as soon as we're done. I have to go pick Dad up and take him to an appointment for his back, and I can't be late for that. So I won't be able to hang out very long. We'll have to stay right at an hour today, and right on cue, as it was a couple of seconds before the stream started, my eyes started drippy. I get allergy eyes, and my eyes started getting drippy, and so now I'm sitting here. For those of you on the video, you can see me kind of touching my eyes, because my eyes getting a little drippy. So I'm hoarse and my eyes are drippy, and the cat's not sharing the dog bed with the dog, and the dog's laying, poor little Betty's laying on the hard concrete here in the bunker, and the cat's laying on the new dog bed that I got for Betty, because Betty's little dog bed, she likes to be where people are. She's a boxer. She doesn't like to be by herself. And even though Bob is here, Bob's very independent. He don't care. He doesn't need to be where people are all the time. He'll go up and do his own thing. So he very seldom comes down here when I'm doing the broadcast. And Betty, she's almost always down here. When we had the water come in, when we had the flood a few weeks ago, and the water came in through the window wells, her little dog bed got wet and it got nasty and it got messed up. So I got her a new one. Well, the cat's curled up on it. So, poor little Betty's sitting on the hard concrete. She could go upstairs. She could go to the bedroom and get up on the bed, or she could go get on the couch or on the dog bed upstairs. But she chooses to be down here with me while I ignore her and talk to you guys. We don't have anything excellent going on here with the BNB right now. I have the calendar closed off because of all the appointments and all of the side things that are going on. Even though people usually just come in and stay and leave the next morning, I just can't guarantee that I'm going to be here at the time they need me to be here, and be here, and make sure that they I don't want to say get out, but get off and check out when they're supposed to. And I can't be a good host that way when I'm really distracted like that. So the calendar is closed for several days this month because of outside commitments and Dad's appointments and some of my own and things like that. So we don't have anything exceptional going on. I was telling you Tuesday about the wildfires, the forest fires. Excuse me. And the forest fire, we're having a drenching rain today. It started overnight, and we had a little bit of drizzle yesterday, but it wasn't enough to clear the air. And today started getting a drenching rain last night, slow but steady, and it's still raining, and it's supposed to continue raining until this afternoon. So those wildfires are predicted to be put out, but now the mountains are. I don't want to say ugly because I don't want to, there's not. I believe that God makes beautiful things and there's a purpose for it. But we're getting into the browns of November. Most of the leaves are off the trees now. The rain is pulling down what hasn't been. What's left there is this dark brownish orange looking thing. And so the bareness and the brown November is starting to show. So we're going to be moving into obviously Thanksgiving and into the holiday season where indoor activities are where everything is at. I really need to I haven't put out any decoration. Well, I take it back. I did put some decorations in the guest room for autumn, but I don't have anything upstairs in the main floor of the house that has anything to do with the season. I did get the porch. The porch does have some pillows, porch pillows and things, outdoor pillows and things for the autumn season. But other than that, that's been it. I've just been so tremendously busy that. Hey, Mike, it's good to see you on there. I saw Mike, the Philippine Nomad, is sent me a link in the Telegram app about a self-reliance festival in the Philippines that he's going to be going to. Let me see what's it called. I gotta pull it up on this other one of these days. I'm going to update my tech. It's the sixth annual Philippine Permaculture Convergence. I said it's self-reliance, but it's a permaculture. Building practical life skills for self-sufficiency and sustainability. I can't read the location. It's too small. I don't know that I could pronounce that anyway. The first day is in the Bamboo Building, which I almost thought that said, Mike, I almost thought it said bamboo building as in building stuff with bamboo, and we have scads of it here within a rock's throw of my back porch. I mean, it's taken over places. It's just crazy. Someone planted it years ago, and it's just, of course, it's a grass, and it's just spread everywhere. And I thought, hey, I could learn to build stuff out of bamboo. But that's not what it was. It's the Bamboo Building. PKC and Milieu Peters, sustenance, food foraging, processing, and food as medicine. Day 2, composting. Father Constantine Legaspino, earth oven building, beekeeping, wood building, forest gardening. Day 3, trees and forestry. Leodato, is that what that? Sea practice? I don't know what that means. And then social permaculture. It sounds like a lot of fun. I would love to be able to go to that. And maybe I'd love to fly to the Philippines, and I hate flying though. I really do. I do fly if I have to, but I really hate it. It's not a joyful experience for me at all. So I absolutely don't like to do it. I'm not quite John Madden. John Madden used to only go where he could take a bus or an RV kind of bus thing. And I just can't fly. I mean, I can fly, but I just don't like it. But that sounds really neat, Mike. And I wish I was able to go to that. I hope you get to go, and I hope you can share some of what you've learned. And which would you go to all of the? It looks like, I mean, I didn't go real deep. I just looked at what you sent. It looks like those things are back to back and not at the same time. So you would be able to maybe go all of them. Is there one particular topic, or are you going to try to hit them all? Let me scoot this over a little bit so I can see better. When he comments, there's a delay. Plus, he's in the Philippines. I mean, it's a long way off. Technology's great. Back in my grandparents' day, you were lucky to be able to get a telephone operator to patch you through to the next city and to try to communicate with people in another country. Where, I mean, it's amazing. And then we can be on these live streams, and like with Mike and Ronaldo and some of the other ones, you can communicate with them in seconds. It's people. We don't stop and think about it often enough. Mike says it is 3 days. There's a 1-day package, but yes, better to go to all. It's always better to go to all of them if you can, but obviously you can't always do that, but or maybe not always want to. I've been to, well, this was back when I was in the corporate world. You would go to a conference and you just eye roll. Everything was just awful. But the idea at the conferences was really to network with people. And I can do that a little bit. I'm not real good at it. I struggle. After I left state government and started working for myself, and was building Robin's Desktop, which was an administrative consulting business that I was building up, and I did pretty well for a long time. In my initial steps, trying to go to like Chamber of Commerce events and stuff and meet people and talk to people, it's really difficult for me, and I know it is for a lot of people. And I went to one, and I talked to a guy who seemed to be a compassionate looking person. And I said, I've never been to one of these before. I'm not really sure what to do. And the ones that I would go to around here were just really opportunities to get drunk for free. I mean, and it was just awful. And it was always the good looking people and always the salespeople. And, I didn't really fall into all of those categories. But he said, just walk up to people and say hello, hand them your card and tell them what you do. And I'm like, this is really hard for me to walk up to somebody I don't know. I do better if I have a friend with me where I've kind of got that support with me. But I couldn't always do that because the folks that I'm friends with were working. They were still working in the corporate world, and I was trying to build my own business. And eventually I did get a couple of good contracts, enough to take care of what I needed to. I had Chemical Alliance and was one of my major clients for a long time, and I had a rent-free office in their building because I would work for them, and I specifically, purposely, and this is just how my brain works and how I work ethically, I was offered the use of their equipment. Use our stuff to do whatever you want to. I really didn't like that. So I had brought in my own computer, my own desk and stuff, and so the time that I spent working on their actual things, I had my computer that would log in, would connect with their computer, and then I had one of those screen sharing things, and I would log me in. I'd log into their computer and do work from mine onto theirs through the network, and then I would send everything out that way. And but I had full use of the facility, so if I was given a workshop, I could use the small theater and their copy machine if I needed to use it for anything. And I did fairly well, but then the building was being sold and contracts were changing, and then COVID, so I ended up leaving there. Party lines on the local exchange were the thing. Yeah, party lines. Yeah, party. Well, and then now you still yet have kind of a party lines, when you go online and you're talking to groups and group chats and stuff. Mike says, I had way more than enough of those sales conferences back in the corporate world, basically a big party for sales reps and account execs. Yeah. Now, if you were a good looking young lady, little tiny little waist and large breasts, you could get all the business you wanted, whether it was for the boss or whether it was for yourself. But I wasn't interested in it. I was really trying to build my business, and I had a hard time with that. I had a guy. I went after I left one state agency. I went to one of those. What are they called? Darn it! You sit down and they try to find jobs for you. I forget what the name of it was. You fill out all these forms about all your skills and stuff. And this guy was just wild. He said, all the government contacts you have, you could charge a fortune. I'm like, those folks didn't give me their contact information to abuse that way. See, because I can't just, it's just me. I can't just say, okay, I have this big contact list of people who I used to connect with when I was in the, in state government. So now I'm going to use those for my own benefit now that I'm not in state government. I just couldn't do it. I mean, if you can, more power to you, but I never could. So there's not a whole lot going on in the BNB world right now for me. We talked a little bit about taxes the other day, but there's nothing exciting going on there. Miscellaneous stuff, there's nothing. I still, unless it comes today, I don't have my MRI appointment for my lungs yet. It should have come. I would have thought that it would have been here by now, but it isn't. The inhaler, I think, is helping to a point. I'm starting to notice that it's not lasting 12 hours. So he said take it in the morning and then the evening, and or twice a day, morning and evening. That's how he put it. And so I've been trying to take it around 6 o'clock because we get up, I get up between 4:15, 4:30, usually about 4:30. I get out of bed. I'm usually awake before then because when he gets up, I wake up, but I give him time in the bathroom and stuff. And so I've got the animals fed, and right now that it's daylight at 7 o'clock, the sun comes up at 7. And so at 6 o'clock is a good time to do the inhaler. And then in the evenings, we've finished dinner, all the animals are fed. And right now it's dark, so the poultry house is closed. And so 6 o'clock is, the news is coming on. We're sitting down to watch the news, and it's a good time. So 6 and 6 is a good time, but I'm noticing it's not lasting that long. I did take the dogs for a walk yesterday. I drove out to our Walmart. It sounds dumb to drive it, but I don't want to have to there's some neighbors that have dogs in their yard, and we haven't been walking for a long time, and I didn't want to start our first walk by chasing the dogs away from the neighbor fences and stuff. So I took the dogs up to Walmart and parked in the back corner of the lot, and I walked them around the whole perimeter of the store, not just the parking lot, but around the back of the store and everything. I thought that was a mile, but we did that in about a half hour. And so I thought that's kind of fast. must not be a mile all the way around. So I drove it. They were probably wondering if I was casing the place, but it wasn't. And I drove it, and it's not quite a mile around there. I'm not sure what it is. I'm gonna have to do one of those tracking apps. Um, I used to have what's it called? Wolf Tracks? No, it was a tracking app that helped that you could benefit a nonprofit for. Anyway, I don't have it on my phone anymore because I wasn't using it. But I'm gonna have to turn that on and see exactly how far around it, because I need to work up to 2 miles a day again. And it was easy when I was able to walk from the house to Walmart and back, because I knew the exact spot to turn around where I was going to hit 2 miles. But I didn't realize how bad off I am right now, even with my walking. I hadn't walked very far at all. I like to walk at a pretty quick clip, and I just was really struggling with my lungs. I thought I was going to collapse right there. And it was crazy. It finally passed, and I got to a decent stride, and I was doing okay. But I initially just was like, "Oh my gosh!" Gasp! It sounded like a carp or a catfish on land. You know, if you've ever heard of catfish, when you take it out of the water and it's just laying there and it's just making this weird noise, that's what I was sounding like. Was that crazy catfish? So I just didn't realize how bad off I had been. So I'm slowly working that back up. I did wear my Brooks, and I had a lot of leg pain later in the evening, but I think that's just because I hadn't been walking. We'll see. I've got my Brooks on again today, and we'll see if I have any trouble. Hopefully, when I take Dad to have his injection, I'll be able to walk the parking lot. But it's been a cold rain, so I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. All right, general projects are all the same as they have been. We haven't done anything new. I'm hanging in there with the 2 videos a week, and I really need to I've got to do some more regular videos. I am so not doing videos. I don't mean the live ones. I mean, informational videos that it's just crazy. I just haven't been able to get anything done. I took a snapshot of myself yesterday at the door while I was waiting on Dad, but that's as close as I could get to doing any kind of. I just wish people could. One of these times, I'm going to have to get a camera that'll hold like 8 hours of footage, and just pin it on me somewhere, and just say, "Here, spend the day with Robin," and so that people can see, not necessarily you guys, but people can see exactly what all I'm dealing with from day to day. Because I'll have people say, "Well, you can just go do this." Like I have a newsletter for the church that I do, and I'd asked somebody to contribute to it, somebody associated with the church, and I said, "Would you like to contribute to it?" And they, "Oh yeah, we would." And I said, "Well, I need your story or whatever your message is going to be before the end of the month, each month." And they didn't contribute. And then I saw them one day, and I was handing them the printed version, which I need to mail out I forgot to mail out the print versions. And they said, "Well, you should just go lift something off my Facebook page and put in here instead of me sending you something." And I'm like, I know that sounds like it's really easy. Just go do that. I don't have time to chase down all your stuff and sort through all your stuff. And it sounds mean, but I don't. I really don't. I don't mean this to be a gripe fest, but people just don't get how much what all I have going on, and why adding one more little thing is not an option anymore. And then when you tell them no, they get upset. So I'm not inclined to take on anything else. But so I still, and it's just I have not been keeping up with my video productions like I should, the informational ones. Now, what I was thinking was should all the workshops that I've done at the church for our lunch and learns. I really need to make videos out of those and put those up. Uh, I can't I can't I can't record in the church during the service. So because it just people don't want to be seen and they don't like it. These folks don't like it when you're videoing while they're in there doing stuff, and the acoustics are awful anyway. So I'll come up with something. I'm sorry, I ramble, and then when I try to go use the Opus Pro, it says you don't have a good call for action. It would be better if you had a better call to action, and I just don't do that very well. So chickens are still plunking away. I actually had an egg this morning by 7:00. I had a little white egg. Well, it wasn't little; it was standard size white egg. So my Isa Brown and one of my Isa Browns and one of my Leghorns are still laying, mostly every other day. Some days I'm getting two. So I'm actually getting like one a day, one a brown one here and a white one there, and sometimes I get a brown and a white one at the same day. Meaning too, the ducks are still producing. One of the ducks gave me one of them little baby eggs the other day, little teeny tiny one. And I thought, man, what'd you do? How'd you get all messed up? But they're still producing. I need to wash eggs this afternoon and get those taken care of. Get them in the refrigerator. I had someone ask me if I had any eggs, and I said no, I don't. They're molting right now, most of them, and so I don't have any that available. Well, let me know when you do. The thing is people want them this time of year all the time. They don't want them in the spring. They don't. Well, I have somebody who buys them, but people don't want fresh eggs until it's wintertime. And then, but if you are, just not forcing your chickens to lay in the wintertime, you're not going to have very many. So that reminds me, I need to check the ones in the lime. I need to get those out if they have gone bad because they've been in there a long time now. They don't stay forever. And yeah, I got to remind myself, Robin, make yourself a note. Get those eggs out of the lime water. Because when I went through a period of time where I didn't have anybody buying them on a regular basis, and so I ended up with a lot of eggs that one year, and I put them in half-gallon jars, and I did a video on that too. I really did. It's out there. It's on the YouTube. So I put them in lime water, and then I did a video on taking one out and eating it, and I filmed it from taking it out and smelling it to make sure it wasn't rotten, because you can smell them if they've gone bad, and washing it off and cracking it and looking at it. And I did have one that wasn't very good, and in that video, the first one I took out, the one that was on the top, wasn't very good. And so I did the video, and I showed that this egg is not very good, and this is why. And so I discarded it, and I got another one out, and I showed this one smells good, it looks good, and I videoed myself, scrambling that egg up and eating it. I mean, and I didn't get sick. It was fine. But it's been a little while now. I think they're probably gone bad. You can't keep them forever. You can keep them about 18 months to 2 years or so, but I think I've gone past that now. Bible study, we're still studying the book of Revelation. For those of you who may be interested, the book of Revelation, chapter 17 last week. We do chapter 18 this week. We're going to double up on a few so that we finish by the end of the year. The ladies don't want to meet for Bible study the week of Thanksgiving or the week of Christmas, so I'm going to sit down on a calendar and work that out. Then I understand that Advent comes in late this year, so actually Christmas Eve ends up being the fourth Sunday of Advent, which kind of jams things together with New Year's and Epiphany and Sunday and all this other stuff. So I need to work on the calendar for that, for what we're going to do at the church. We don't do a whole lot. We're so small, but maybe this year we'll be able to do a special service for Christmas Eve. Of course, that will be on Sunday. We'll figure something out. I'd like to have a special evening service prayer service for Israel. But I have to present that. I have to work it out. I have to think it through because I don't have time. It sounds awful, but I'd like to try to get that done. Our lunch and learns, we had our gifts in a jar on Wednesday, and that went real well. I actually had a couple ladies from Boone County, which, depending on what part of Boone County you're from, isn't very far of a drive, but so they drove probably about 20 minutes or so to come over and participate in that, and I was really excited. They came because they saw it not on Facebook, but on Eventbrite. So I had put the lunch and learn on Eventbrite and created tickets for it. And so when she was signing up for something else on Eventbrite, it popped up. Here's an event you might like. And they came, and it was really good. We held great conversation. Also, Carla, she's not on today, but she was able to come out and she joined us. So she got her shirt. For those of you who may or may not have paid any attention, Carla won a T-shirt a long time ago about back in the spring, and I never did get it to her. And it had been sitting here forever, and I was able to get her shirt. We had a nice long conversation. That was a really long day. I ended up not getting back. I go over to set up for our Bibles and brunch and our lunch and learn. I leave the house around 8:15. So at 8:00, I'm ordering online our Subway because we provide lunch. I order from Subway. Then about 8:15, I leave the house and head over to Walmart, which is where the Subway is. Plus, I pick up refreshments over there for usually a few donuts, because for Bibles and brunch, we usually have 4 to 6 people, so we don't have a lot there. And but I pick that up, and I pick up lunch, and then I'm over at the church by 9:15 to set up the AV, make sure the laptop I use is going to connect, make sure it's up to date, because stupid stuff is constantly updating. The software just is always updating, and it's aggravating to me how often it happens and continuously. And so I want to start that stuff up. If it's going to update and restart, then it can do that while I'm setting up the coffee pots and stuff, and setting the tables, or setting the snack table out, putting the things on the tray and setting that out for everybody. And then by 10:00, we start Bible study. We have an hour in between. So at 11:00, we're usually finished with Bible study, but bathroom, washing hands, last minute things. If I'm doing the workshop, then I'm getting things set up for the workshop. If I'm not doing the workshop, I'm, writing out the church bills, and the ladies and I are talking about church stuff and family stuff and supporting each other. And then lunch and learn at noon, finish up by 1, start cleaning up after that. Usually I'm home by 1:30, 2:00, but this Wednesday I wasn't home till 3:30. It just, because there was a lot of conversation happening afterwards, and I had so much to clean up. And but it was a good lunch and learn. And if any of you guys are in the West Virginia area and in the Kanawha County area of West Virginia, look us up at the Diamond United Methodist Church on Facebook, and consider coming out to our lunch and learn. This Wednesday won't be lunch and learn. It'll be an evening presentation by the West Virginia State Extension Office, and it's going to be on, fixing turkeys and stuff for Thanksgiving. It's kind of generic, but I'm hoping. I haven't heard back from John. We were trying to get approved to donate turkeys to the participants, because you would have to register. And John hasn't gotten back to me on that. So I get flustered when people don't get back to me in good time. I've asked him twice since Monday, and I haven't heard back from him. So I know he's busy, but I kind of need answers from him. So that's about it for that. Local news. There was something I was going to talk about. There was actually a house explosion in Charleston this morning, and I caught a little bit about it, and it was it had just happened. So there was still fire department on the scene and there was still flames and all that stuff. But I about guarantee when they do the investigation, it's going to be a gas leak or something. And this is the time of year that that's going to be happening. And please, please, please check your heating systems. Have someone who's not usually in the house come around and see if they smell gas if you use gas to heat with, because you could have a little leak and you not notice it because you're used to it, but it be a significant leak that could do that with the slightest spark. It's just crazy. And watch your in space heaters. Get a carbon monoxide monitor in a room that you have a space heater in, whether you use the little buddies with propanes or if you use electric, and for heaven's sakes, keep them away from anything that might get hot enough to catch fire. You might not think it will, but if it's close enough, it's going to be dangerous. So be very, very careful, and it needs to be somewhere where it won't get kicked over. I mean, it's the time of year when all these things are going to happen. And then come Christmas time, when you start putting your decorations up, the demand on your electrical system could cause, don't put an electric heater on an extension cord. It'll burn that extension cord up. Even if you've done it a million times, it's weakening that extension cord. And the million and first time, it might catch flame and burn your house down. And we don't want that for anyone. Nationally, I don't talk about the elections or anything much. I'm so aggravated with all of that stuff. It's not even funny. I still believe very strongly in voting, but I also believe that you've got to educate yourself. Don't just follow the crowd on this stuff. Listen to what and I've said this before, there are so many people who don't vote that if they would, it could change things for the better. The people who want to take this country down are voting. They're voting. And if we want to stop it, we've got to vote. So I'm a firm believer in voting. I know there's a lot of people who don't, but I do. I don't see it as wasted. Betty, you didn't get your little spot? But Abby's not on the pillow anymore. You better go get on the pillow, Betty. But look, we have to pay attention. We do have a responsibility as citizens of this country. And, you and I may disagree on something political, and our votes may cancel each other out, but we still need to be voting. So I'm going to get on to the primary 5 topics, another 5 preps for the wintertime. And these are not necessarily for it hits the fan situations. These are just good ideas to have to take care of regardless. These are 5 additional things that you need to prepare, and maybe you can get that this week. A manual can opener. A manual can opener will be a life saver if you lose electricity. There are still plenty of products put in cans that do not have the little pop tops. I don't really trust the pop tops for long term. I just really feel like if it's that easy for me to peel it, it's that easy for it to come undone. But a manual can opener, and you may want to have a miniature one in a go bag. If you have a go bag or a get home bag that you keep with a few things in it, to sustain you from point A to point B. My go bag would only be for about a 12 or 15 mile walk. So I probably wouldn't have anything in it that's canned. But if you have a go bag, or you have a bug out bag, a lot of people like to call it, you may have some things in cans that you take with you. If you don't, wherever you're going to be, wherever you are right now, make sure you have a manual can opener, so that now I do have one of those what they used to call P38. It's a little thing about this big, and you can put it on a key ring, but it has a little hook that swings out, and you do like this on your can, and you just kind of rock it through and cut that can open. It's it used to come in the sea ration packs for the military, and it was something that the military used to keep on hand. You can get them at sporting goods shops sometimes. You can get a military surplus. You can get them online and stuff. They're handy to have around. I ended up finding that I got stabbed by mine, so I took it off the key ring, and I had one in my billfold, but I don't tend to carry a billfold. And anymore, if you go into a federal building, you can't have something like that on your person. So you have to be careful about those. But a manual can opener is going to be a lifesaver. Rock salt or ice melt. It can be either. I like to get the pet friendly ice melt so that it doesn't irritate the dog's feet. Now we don't have a lot of places to use it. Our sidewalk out front is, maybe 4 or 5 yards, so it's just as easy to just let it be. Except that if you're expecting packages or if you're expecting people, anytime you think someone's coming on your property, you need to make sure that those walkways are clear. If you tend to have a lot of snow, and you may want to keep a little bit of. The next one is sand. Contractor sand. You don't need to get play sand unless it's just easier for you to get a smaller package of that. Keep that in your vehicle so that if you're out in the snow and you get, you slide and your wheels are sliding, you can stop. You can throw some sand under your tires, and that will give you a little bit of traction to get out. People also use cat litter for that. I'm thinking cat litter for me is too expensive to do that. But you could use a cat litter jug, because a lot of the cat litter now comes with those plastic jugs, and put sand in that and keep that in the back of your vehicle. A snow shovel. Snow shovels are different. They're a lot wider, and they have a they're kind of made like a spoon because they have a little dip in them, but they're wider so that you can get a lot more snow out that way. I have used a regular shovel, but it's easier to use a snow shovel, but you want to make sure you have one of those. You can also get little foldable shovels to keep in your vehicle. Again, you'd get those in the camping section of your sporting goods shop. I have one somewhere. I need to find it and get it out and get it in the problem with putting anything in my car right now is that wheelchair that I'm hauling for Dad. So it takes up a lot of room in the back of my little car. And other than, getting a different car, which I really don't want to do, I don't want the expense of it. I just don't want another car, but I may have to. I have a milk crate. It's not a real milk crate. It's one of those plastic ones that you buy at the store, and they look like milk crates, that I keep, like a quart of oil. I keep windshield fluid and just some odd and end things that I may need for the car. And I keep that in the back of the car until I started having to take that wheelchair. And I'm struggling in my mind now because I need to have those things handy, just in case. But I don't have anywhere to put it with that wheelchair now. So Jesse Howie over here, and I didn't see Jesse. Oops, come on. Over here on Rumble. Maybe. I don't know how long ago Jesse popped in there and said hello. It doesn't say what time. It doesn't have a timestamp on that. But yeah, Jesse Howie, glad to see you. Sorry, the thing is, I can stream to Rumble, but it doesn't. StreamYard doesn't share the comments on Rumble, so you have to have it open on a different screen. And if you don't see it. So I apologize for that, Jesse, for not seeing you sooner, and I hope you won't run away. and be upset by me not saying hello very soon. But yeah, a snow shovel or any shovel, really. Like I said, you can get those foldable shovels at the camps sporting goods store, and you can have one of those tucked away in your vehicle. And an ice scraper. You know, we giggle about it. I go through so many ice scrapers, and the reason I go through them is I don't buy high end ones. I end up buying them at the dollar store. I buy them at Walmart, and they end up cracking and breaking. And then here I am, just I have a piece of an ice scraper about that big, and I'm trying to scrape the ice with it, and I do a really poor job of it. So I that's one of the areas where I need to walk the talk. Oh, Jesse says, just now I'm late. Love hearing you. I'll go back and listen to the beginning later. I'm into winter prepping right now. That's great, Jesse. I I welcome anybody, whether you have to go back and listen to the replay or not. I love it. I really do. I appreciate it very much, and I love comments and your questions. And if you have a specific question, don't be afraid to ask. Even if I don't know, I'll say I don't know. I'll find out if I can. But these are just these 5 things. I mean, these are easy things that most of us can get hold of that aren't won't break the bank, that you don't have to get the really expensive stuff on. I'm a big believer. I know there are people out there who are all about, buy, you- I'll say quality, buy quality. But I also know that there's a lot of us out there who, at different points in our life, don't have the money to buy the high end stuff, so we have to start somewhere, and I'd rather you start somewhere than not have it at all. So if a manual can opener is something that only something you can get at the dollar store, understand that it's going to be frustrating to use. But you will be able to use it, because a lot of the lower end manual can openers aren't really sturdy, aren't really strong, and you'll fight with them a lot. They won't be really sharp, but better to have one than not. Then know that eventually you can go up to a higher end manual can opener to have. I know that sounds kind of trivial, manual can opener, but if you are in a position where your electricity is off, you need to open a can. Now there are YouTube videos out there where people will take a can of tuna or whatever on a cinder block and scrub it. Well, you're going to have a cinder block, and not everybody's going to be in a situation where they have a cinder block. So I'd rather you have something. Rock salt is easy. It doesn't even have to be rock salt, but you can get kosher salt would do the same thing if you're in a bind and you just need to have a little bit of something. The idea behind rock salt, the pieces are large, and you can spread it out and it'll melt a larger area. Ice melt is easier on your pets if you read it. And because rock salt or salt of any kind will irritate the pads of your pet's feet. It'll get up between their toes in the little hairy areas, and it'll stick in there, and then they'll lick it, and it makes a big mess for your pets. The sand is good for traction, so you can mix, and I've seen places mix sand and ice melt or rock salt in a bucket or in a little plastic jug. You could even use an old plastic coffee can. I say can, but it's plastic coffee can, to mix this and have it sitting out where it won't get wet, but it's there and available. And you can just throw it out, throw handfuls out. But you want to remove the snow. So you want to use your snow shovel, get as much snow and ice off of your sidewalk or your steps, whatever you're treating, and then put the rock salt, ice melt, and or sand down, so that it's got the least amount of ice and snow to deal with as possible. And these are really easy ones, but sometimes we don't think about it. I go out to the car and it's all iced up, and the windshield wipers are stuck because I didn't lift them up so that they're not sitting on the windshield and there's a layer of ice and all this. And that's where these things come in. And, also again, if you lose your power or the ability to heat your home, well, these aren't so much for heating your home, but you need to have something there for that. So take the time, look at what you have handy, and you don't even have to buy a new backpack. You can go to a thrift shop and get a backpack and put some of these things in there. Put a Ziploc bag of sand in there to put in your car to have handy if you don't want to use a milk crate or if you don't have anything to use it. The plastic coffee containers, I keep those all the time. And they're great to have to put this stuff in. Just take a Sharpie pen or some kind of marker, mark the top of what it is, salt and sand or whatever you've got, and set out so that you have it there in easy reach and you know what it is, or to keep in your car to keep it from spilling all over the place. Because you don't necessarily have to keep a big bag of contractor's sand in your car. You just need enough to get you out of a bad spot. So those things can come in handy. Maybe I'll have to do a video on those just to show, not that you wouldn't know how, but just to show this is what I'm talking about. Here's your jug, put your salt, put your sand, And so, those are just a few things. We've done how many, 15 so far, 15 or 20 so far. And we'll do a few more. And maybe I'll do one gigantic list. And I don't know, I could maybe put everything out on a table. I do have access to Mr. Holstein's garage and to the shop. I can maybe do a video out there on those things instead of always sitting here. I'll have to think that out some more. All right, then the last thing I want to talk about, we've got about 8 minutes, and I do have to be pretty close to time today because I have to take Dad to his appointment in a little bit. I want to talk just briefly, and I may spend more time on this later, on cold weather safety for our senior citizens or even yourself, because, depending on your age, maybe you may fall into this category. I get aggravated every now and again because what age is a senior citizen? I go to Shoney's, local American sit down and buffet style restaurant, and they're giving me a senior discount. Well, I asked them one time, I said, what age is senior citizen? And they said 55 for them. And I'm thinking, that doesn't sound right, but okay. And it really ends up that you're only getting the drink free, but that's okay. If there's a couple of us, that's a couple bucks off the bill that I can turn around and use as the tip for the waitress. But senior citizens are always trying, especially if you're on a fixed income, are always trying to manage their costs, right? And so the cost of energy continues to skyrocket as our government decides that it's better for everyone to be forced onto solar, especially in areas like West Virginia, where solar power is hit and miss, whether it's going to even work for you or not. But our senior citizens will tend to turn the thermostat way down and try to save money on their heat or electric. And it can be dangerous. It can be dangerous for them. Senior citizens need to keep a body temperature above 95. If you start getting down to 95 in your core body temperature, you're looking at hypothermia. And senior citizens may not notice that. If you have, and when I think senior, I'm kind of talking 70s, okay? It doesn't have to be 70s, it can be younger, but I'm in my brain, senior citizen is around 70 years old. Your skin is thinner, your body, even if you're overweight, your body fat is thinner, your muscle tone is thinner, your body's moving slower, you're generally probably not eating as well or as much as you should be. And even if you're in a care facility, they keep temperatures really cool in those places. Sometimes you go in a hospital and about freeze to death. especially in the stupid emergency room. I go in with Dad on occasion whenever he's not well, and we go in. It's like, this place is cold. So, which is, I don't know what the point of that is, but your home temperature is, if you're a senior or if your parents are senior or your grandparents, if depending on who you're looking at, needs to be between 60 and 65 degrees at a minimum. And that may not be warm enough to keep you safe. So as people try to cut back on their expenses because everything is going up, there is, I'm sorry, when you talk inflation, you need to count the energy costs and food costs in inflation, because that's the major things. Oh, pardon me. But hypothermia, older adults can lose body heat really quick. And hypothermia, and I'm saying hyperthermia, but it's hypothermia with an O, happens when your body temperature gets to 95 or below. It can cause heart attacks. It can cause kidney failure or kidney issues. It can damage your liver. Hypothermia is a serious, dangerous thing. It's not just being out in the cold, although being out in the cold obviously can cause it. If your house is too cold, it can be that way too. You got to keep your home warm. You got to keep your surroundings warm. If you're sick, if you have a chronic disease or something, it can get really cold, or even average cold can affect your body in a negative way. What I might be able to be comfortable in at 65, if you're ill or you have a chronic illness, it might be too cold for you at 65. So, and if our parents or grandparents who are living by themselves perhaps and trying to save money don't think that through, and then when you get cold, your brain doesn't work as well either. So there's these accumulating issues that can happen if you get too cold. So for safety's sake, you or your family, whomever it is, your loved one or your friends or whatever, have to keep your house between 68 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're concerned about the cost of heating your home and or your apartment, wherever you're living, you can close off rooms. We talked a little bit before about putting those draft blockers at the bottom of your doors, using those heavy curtains, or using a couple layers if you can't afford the heavy ones and you can get the light ones. Have someone help you put up, an extra rod for curtains, so that you can hang up a couple layers to keep down the drafts off your windows. If you can't afford those little door thingies, roll up some old blankets, some old towels or something. If you have to use a rubber band on the ends, use rubber bands on anything. Heck, even a pool noodle, up against the bottom of your doors can help block some of those drafts. Keep your blinds and curtains shut if you can, to keep those drafts down. Have someone caulk your windows. I went through last year and got a caulk gun, and they're really easy. I mean, it's easy to do, to caulk if you have gaps, if your windows are older and you have gaps between the window and the window frames. Add some layers. Now, when you get to be a senior citizen, sometimes that can be a problem because seniors have trouble with their fingers and sometimes fine motor activities with buttons and things. But try to put on layers. If you have to put on a couple button-up shirts that you don't button, maybe you have a tank. I do this all the time, but you have a tank top and a button-up shirt that you don't button, or maybe you have a couple of them, or maybe you have a sweater or a vest sweater. But layers, and keep your feet warm. If you have to get shoes that are a size bigger so that you can wear a heavier sock, take care of that. Do that, especially around the house. My house has the original wood floors, and the floors get really, really cold to me. And so now I don't wear just socks. I've got house shoes that I wear that have little grippies on them. And sometimes I wear these. They're made like Crocs, but they're not Croc brand. They're a generic brand I got at the grocery store on sale. But, I'll have socks on and I'll have those on because those have good grip on the floor. I'm not sliding because daggone, you don't want to fall. reconsider thermal underwear. I mean, there was a time when people wore thermal underwear. Reconsider wearing some thermal underwear under your pajamas. My grandfather, I remember on my dad's side, my grandfather used to wear his pajama bottoms under his outside pants sometimes, and it was funny. They weren't thermals; they were regular pajama bottoms because you could sometimes see him underneath it, hanging out when he would sit and watch TV and stuff. But it was an extra layer to help keep warm. And you have to have enough calories in your diet to help your body burn and keep warm that way too. With our chickens, of course, chickens are cold-blooded. I mean, technically they're reptiles, but they need extra calories. So I give them extra scratch grains in the evenings so that when the nights get really chilly, that they've got enough in there to burn and keep themselves warm. And if you're a drinker, cut back or quit altogether. Alcohol, even moderate alcohol, can make you lose body heat. You think you're warm all over, but that's because your veins are dilated and all the heat is escaping. So, and have somebody check on you. We like to be independent, but we do need our community, and we need people in our community who are going to check on us and make sure that our houses are warm, that we're warm all over, and that we're okay, and can check for maybe gas leaks, like I was talking about that place blowing up this morning. Mike says, I inherited an old school manual can bottle opener from my uncle. Yeah, that's an old school. I have 3 or 4 of them. I have a couple that are really aggravating to use, but if I have to use them, I will. And then I have a higher end one that I think I paid about $6 or $8 for it, but it works. The problem I have with it is that the handle, the cushion on the handle comes loose. So, but it's also good. I kept them. My younger son Brian, when he was a child, he had a lot of hand motor issues because he had been premature child, and he was going through therapy for a long time. And one of the things that they said is don't give him all the easy way outs. The hand can opener was something that he could work and keep his hand strength up. So I'm going to start wrapping up here. Mike, I want you to have a great weekend. And if you get any more information on that conference thingy, let me know. I'd love to see how that goes and what you decide to attend and stuff. Then I've got to go because I've got to get Dad taken care of. Mike says, I borrowed my wife's legging to wear underneath my outdoor pants when I went hiking, camping up Tall Peak. It was, well, Joe Namath. Joe Namath is famous he was a famous quarterback. He was famous for wearing pantyhose to keep his leg warm. So, it doesn't matter as long as you're warm, and it does not matter. So what? There are some really heavy women's stockings that they make, for wintertime, perfectly acceptable. And it may be easier on your legs and on your body to wear something like, pantyhose, because you don't have them cutting off at the knees or at the thigh or wherever, like socks. I have some socks on now that are tall. So I miss the old tube socks from back in the day. I love tube socks. They'll come up all the way up to your knees and they stay there. But it helps keep your feet and your legs warm because you can get frostbite. You can get frostbite easily from exposed skin sometimes. So we're going to stop there, guys. I'm going to try to do a really decent close today. I think Tuesday I kind of chopped it off really quick. But if you got this far in the show, then I want to thank you for hanging out and for being here. And I invite you to the Holstein House chat on Telegram. If you have a Telegram account, it's Holstein House chat. You will have to wait until I approve you. That's just to keep. I had some really filthy people coming in there spamming it, and it was really bad one time, so I did that. Don't be afraid to create the account if you want to come and join us on the Holstein House chat. If you want to go to robinholstein.com, check out the information there. Go to the contact page. I have a list of all the social media accounts where I'm sort of active. I'm not overly active on all of them, but Facebook is there, and MeWe is there, and Freesteading's there. All of them are there, so you can give that a look. And don't forget, if you haven't already liked, please do like the stream today, and consider subscribing. I don't charge for subscriptions. Not at this point. I don't have a lot going on to do that. But we'll finish up, and I do appreciate everyone being here. And Mike, you have an unbelievable and safe weekend as well. And we will talk to you again on Tuesday at 10 o'clock Eastern. See you then. Bye-bye. So there you have it. Post your comments, do all that boosting, liking, sharing, thumbs up, and stuff that helps spread the word and poke the algorithms. Follow me on most of the big social media platforms and look for my name, Robin Holstein, or Holstein House. Till next time, bye-bye.